All right. Hi, everyone. We are back today with Courtney Hanson, and she is a mindset coach, a Reiki and NLP practitioner, a yoga teacher, the host of the Sweetest Life podcast, and author. And she's basically me in another form, in another. How are you doing, Courtney?
I'm so good. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. I can't wait to dive in. The first question that I always love to ask my guests is, what sparks your soul?
Definitely to wake up every day and have my job be different. Like, I am the type of person that if I do the same thing over and over, I get bored and I get complacent and I don't challenge myself. So, definitely to wake up just feeling inspired and creative and being able to kind of use that to help people.
Yeah, I completely relate. And I remember back, before I started my own business, when I would have a job, I just couldn't handle the monotony of it. And I think, it works perfectly for some types. And then for some, it's
Mhm.
like, I guess those are more the entrepreneur types usually, because you can wear many hats. Like we talked about on your show, which I'll link in the show notes for everybody.
Yes.
But will you tell us your story, like how you got into the world of wellness, how you became like a wellnesspreneur, and how you got into like learning Reiki and NLP and all of that?
Yeah. So my story is I actually started out with my Instagram. I used to do Etsy. And so let's rewind actually. So I used to work for MTV. That was like my first like career. And I was a makeup artist and hairstylist. And then I had a couple salons. And I was a single mom with my oldest. And then I met my husband and we ended up getting married, got pregnant, had my daughter. And I was just tired of traveling. I was tired of working. I just wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. That was like my goal. And so did that and I did it for like a month. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. I have to do something. And so I started Etsy. And it was fun. Like, I was creating stuff and it was great for a few years. And my Instagram following had started to grow because I was like giving moms like DIY projects and just all the things. And so after the while, I got into influencing because my following had grown and Etsy had just become too much. It was like I was always crafting. I hated it. Like, I was sick of constantly having messes all over my house. It just got to be like I just outgrew it. And so I ended up stopping Etsy and actually just sold my business this year. And I just did the influencing thing for a while. And then in 2018, I had my son. And the story with my son, so I was really, really sick my whole pregnancy. And when I had him, he was 2 months premature. And so I had my oldest who has autism, my daughter who is very spirited, and I had this little baby. And my husband had to leave for an academy. He had gotten a promotion at work. And so he was gone for 6 months and I was completely by myself. I had postpartum and I was miserable. I was just in survival mode. And so I started self-medicating with wine. And every night I would drink a bottle of wine and kind of numb out. And then I'd wake up and then, survive the day and then do it all again. And this became kind of my pattern, and my life started to spiral out of control. And so I hit a rock bottom and everything in my life came crashing down. I had an affair. I almost got a divorce. I was losing everything. My job was like nothing was coming in financially. I was just miserable and I knew something had to change. And so I ended up reaching out and I finally got help and went to some serious therapy. And the therapist that I went to, it was for trauma therapy for stuff I had not dealt with when I was a kid. And it changed my life. And so I became passionate about helping women heal. And so I had obviously quit drinking and really became super, super deep into yoga. And it saved my life. Just the connection of being able to tap into my body and being able to heal from the inside out. Because the way I was raised was, it's like, if we make it look pretty on the outside, it's all good. As long as you present yourself well and carry yourself well, everything's good. So everything I would just shove down like forever. And eventually, you're going to explode no matter what your story is. You can't bottle everything up. And so, yeah, so I went to school, and a year later, I got my Reiki master, and then I wanted to keep going. So I got my 200-hour yoga cert, and then went and got my NLP and hypnotherapist clinical license. And I just became so passionate about our brain and metaphysics and how everything works and the science behind it. And it has just become my passion. And it's funny, ever since I've gotten on that path, my life, everything has just kind of fallen in place.
Wow. Thank you so much for your vulnerability, because I think that's just so powerful for people to hear your story and like your rock bottom, because I think so many people have them, but they're scared. There's like a shame around it, which there
Yeah,
shouldn't be.
there is.
Yeah. And you took that and you turned it into something so beautiful, which probably like that's what kind of put you on your life, like your big purpose in life, right? Other than having your beautiful children. Um, but I think there's just something so powerful in that. And I think that those traumas that happen to us, and you can tell me what you think about this, because this is how I look at it from my life. And, the traumas that happen to us when we're young, they're not our fault, and it's not necessarily like they were supposed to happen, but they did happen. And then we get to learn from them as a soul, and then take that and really like step into our worth and start to live in alignment with the gifts we were meant to bring into this world. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that, we've been here many times, and we're here to learn lessons and to grow. And sometimes lessons are hard, right? And that like life's not easy. And I think it's funny when people like, go out and preach like, well, this is my perfect life and this is my perfect family, because in reality, everyone has something. And I feel like you were saying that it's so shamed so often, when in reality, these are beautiful lessons to grow and mold into the purpose that like we're here on earth to do.
Yeah. So, can you tell me a little bit more about how you incorporate NLP and hypnotherapy with your clients and with healing their traumas and helping them to step forward into their gifts in their life?
Absolutely. So I usually start out first. So we all have different ways that we learn, right? So we're visual, we're auditory, we're kinesthetic. So we all learn in different ways. So with our senses, all of us learn through that in some way, shape, or form. And so for me, I'm visual. So I learn by actually seeing things. My husband's auditory, so he learns by hearing things. And so when you're able to connect how someone learns, then you are able to communicate with them differently. And it's even like by phrases. So like, for example, if you were a visual learner, when I talk to you, I would be like, so when you look at this, what do you see? Versus if you were a auditory learner, I would say something like, when you hear this, what comes to your mind? And so it really is about changing the verbiage according to what the person's personality is, so that it sinks in and it really connects with them, because we're all different. And so if you're coaching someone, or if you're talking to someone, or if you're doing public speaking, no one's going to connect to you if they don't feel that you're speaking directly to them, because we all have our different perceptions. So I feel like, and a big thing of it, it's really tapping in, because it's neuro linguistic programming is what NLP stands for people that don't know. And what you're doing is you're really tapping into the brain source and the science behind it, on how you can communicate best with that person so that they can grow and learn and understand. Because I can preach stuff all day to you and tell you how to change your life, but if I'm not speaking your language, you're not going to catch what I'm throwing.
Totally. That's so powerful. So you start with that, and then do you use the hypnotherapy with like guided meditations and things like that?
Yeah. So for me, and much as my personal experience, I mean, there's ways that you can do hypnotherapy. There's several different ways that you can use it. But for me personally, what I think is the most powerful in using it is through meditation and doing kind of a guided meditation with hypnotherapy. So there's ways that you can do it where you're like, you're going to get to this, I'm going to count down, and then you're going to stand up and you're going to touch the door handle and you're going to come back to me just to see if they're in a trance, which reality, that trance can be a scary word. And all it is your subconscious being able to take over while you're awake and your conscious goes to rest. So it is the same state as meditation. And I feel a lot of times people hear that word and they're like, oh, that you're not putting me in a trance because then I could kill someone, like it's like all voodoo, but that's
what
not
are you
what
going to make
is.
me do?
Yes. And it's not scary. Like you are in control of your body at all times, but you're able to reprogram your subconscious because 85% of our thoughts are actually from our subconscious because our conscious just can't handle it. And so trauma, all of that is stored in our subconscious. And so when we're having these behaviors that continue to pop up in our lives, a lot of times it's because we have these traumas that we have just compartmentalized and put in this tiny pretty package and put in our subconscious, and it's keeping us safe. And so our conscious doesn't have to think about it, but our behaviors are showing, and we're getting these same things in our life that continue to come up because of it. So what hypnotherapy does is it allows us to get to that state to truly kind of dismantle everything and put it back together the way it's supposed to be put together.
Amazing. And then you can create the life that
Yes.
you want from that place.
Yes.
So
And a lot of times
powerful.
people don't understand either. Like, people talk about manifestations and stuff and they're like, oh, I'm stuck. I can't manifest. I'm doing all the things. And it's like, yeah, but you're missing that huge crucial step that like you have to do the work in order for things to come into fruition, so it really is a step process.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, maybe we can talk a little bit about positivity because I am a huge fan of promoting positive energy and like living high vibration and all of that. But I think that's and that's something I teach, a huge misconception with manifestation is that if you just think positively, um, things will pop up, right? But
Yeah, everywhere.
exactly your point. Yeah. If we don't reprogram the subconscious, that's not going to happen. So what do you think about the whole positivity thing? How do you bring that in to your
Yeah.
teaching?
So, I really think, again, like going back to NLP, I really think that it is different for each person. So sometimes like journaling is super effective. Other times affirmations are super effective. Other times dance is super effective. So it really is like where you're at in your body and your connection. And it feels like funky when you first start, right? Because who wants to write like I am a millionaire 20 times in the morning? Like that's weird. So I feel like, but when we're able to take it down to a simpler level and really connect with like, we are just all energy. And when we're able to raise that energy, the universe or God, source, whatever you want to call it, is just there waiting like, hey, I'm here. But we have to be able to lift up to meet them because they're going to meet us wherever we're at. So if we wake up and we're like, I'm a horrible mom, I'm a horrible wife, I hate my life, like I have to go to work now, I have to do that. Like when we're in that like hamster wheel cycle, like nothing positive comes from it. So we have to step off of it to get to the point of, like you said, being in the positive mindset. And it takes different avenues for each person. So like some people, I'll do like morning routines, and I'll ask them to do. So what I do with every single client is I ask them to do a habit tracker for 3 days, just so I can see like what they're working with, because they'll have all these things that they want. And I look at their habits and I'm like, not one thing you're doing is aligning with your end goal. Like not one thing you're doing is saying like, yes, this is what I want in life. This is what I'm working for. It'll be like, wake up, feed the dogs, eat an apple, drink coffee, go to work. And it's like, but where in there are you taking time for you? Are you like nourishing your soul and really focusing on your goals? And so I'll have them do the habit tracker. I'll kind of see where they're at. And then what I do is I incorporate in a morning routine that works for them and it's not overwhelming. So I have 5 must-dos that they have to do. So I make them drink lukewarm water, just 1 glass in the morning as soon as they wake up. I have them sit down and meditate for 5 minutes so they're not like falling asleep. And then I have them free flow right after their meditation, just whatever comes to mind, but in a gratitude way. So not like a bullet point list of like, I'm thankful for my kids, I'm thankful for, but I just have them write in pencil and paper and just get into that feeling of abundance and gratitude that they have plenty and life is good and you have another day to do whatever you want. Like the world is your playground. And so I have them free flow for that. And then I'll have them get up and move their body. Like they don't have to full blown work out, but just to like stretch and like get connected for 10 or 15 minutes. And then the last thing I have them do is really set 3 top intentions that they're going to get done that day. Because I feel like especially as moms, we have these huge lists that we're like, oh my gosh, it's so overwhelming. And at the end of the day, we sit down and we have like one thing done. And so when we're able to pick the top 3, it makes it super simple to get them done and feel accomplished at the end of the day. And then we're staying again in feelings because the feelings are everything. So we're staying in that feeling of accomplishment and abundance and just plenty and gratitude. And when we can maintain that and we create a habit of it, all by starting with the morning routine, everything starts to just fall in place slowly. And then we can incorporate more and more tools.
I love that. And I'm such a fan of the morning routine. And I love like hearing like what you add in and the similarities. I'm huge fan of stream of consciousness journaling. So free writing, like you talked about. And because our minds are in their most lucid state. Maybe you can touch on this more. When we wake up, we're in this lucid state. I think it's the deltas. No, deltas when we're like asleep.
Delta's sleeping. Oh gosh, what is it?
Our brain is in gamma, alpha. Beta's the high one that we're like in our consciousness.
Alpha. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we're coming out of, I guess it's the delta state and into the alpha. Don't quote me on that.
80% positive.
Google it. But our mind is in its like most creative lucid state. So when we free write like that, we're able to like come up with our best ideas or get out that subconscious junk that isn't serving us anymore.
Yes.
Right? So I love that. It's just such a beautiful practice.
It really is. I love doing that with dreams too, because a lot of times I don't think people understand how like deep dreams can affect us. So like if you're waking up and you're kind of like shooken over something, or maybe it was a good dream or a bad dream, but like just like writing about it, because then you're going to forget about it a couple hours later. But being able to connect, because sometimes you start to see patterns too with doing that are really, really powerful.
Yeah, which gives you even more insight into what's going on that you're not aware of. Yeah,
exactly.
It's all a loop. Well, I would love to have you talk more about motherhood and entrepreneurship, and kind of like we talked about before I press record. Like you said, your kids are being homeschooled right now, and I have so many mothers that I worked with and that like are part of like my circle of teaching that I know they've been struggling with this a lot this year, and it's not something I can personally relate to. So I think it's beautiful to have you on here to like talk all about that, because you're like such a powerhouse and you do so much. Like you wouldn't even think that you had 3 kids that you're taking care of.
Yeah, it's a challenge. I feel like this year everyone has really had to pivot like so much, and I know a lot of people are doing homeschool and distant learning and all the things. And at first it was like, I think I was really striving for perfection on like, I was trying to be their teacher, and hands down, I'm not a teacher. I'm their mom. They're never going to treat me the same way they're going to treat their teacher, which I'm thankful for. But you know, like I really think that like allowing yourself grace, and then I do stuff in chunks. So like I said, my oldest has autism. And so we have ABA with him 3 days a week, where a therapist comes in our house and works with him for 2 hours. And so on top of that, having my 5-year-old and my 2-year-old, who is very 2 right now, it is really like an ebb and flow. So it's like every day, like I was saying, is different. And I feel like when we set ourselves to such rigid schedules, that's where we see failure. And that's where we're like kicking ourselves, because it's like, oh, I didn't do their math by 9 o'clock, or I didn't do this by 2 o'clock. And it's like, it's called homeschool because it's flexible and it's on your schedule. So like some days like today, like, you know, I'm not even going to start their school till probably 12:30, and then I'll do a couple hours, and then we'll do a couple hours after dinner, and then we're done. But it's really just like the connection and kind of listening to them, because like us, each kid learns differently. So like my kids all are, I don't know how they all came out of me. They all are so opposite, and they all learn so differently. And me and my son are like seriously like night and day. So I can't relate to him on how his brain works. He's very analytical, and I'm very like, oh, let's draw something. I am not a good teacher for him, but it's nice because with my husband, we can go back and forth and we can kind of tag team. And in between, I can get my work done, and then we have free time in between. But I think it's really just the ebb and flow of like releasing that pressure of, you're not going to school 9 to 2 for a reason, right? You're homeschooling for a reason. And right now, I think a lot of parents are putting that pressure on themselves that it's supposed to be that they're in school. And I love to always remind my clients, like who are moms, that, like they think of how many like recesses and potty breaks and goof off times and circle times and story times and carpet times they have throughout the day. Like it's probably like 4 or 5 hours. So you're not doing that at home because you're getting the work done and they get to do whatever they want. So I mean, when you really think about it, they're only doing schoolwork for 2 to 3 hours a day in school. So when you're able to incorporate that into your home and release the ideas of, all the beliefs that we've been taught, I think that's when you're able to let go.
Yeah, that's such a amazing point. And it's interesting because I've never really pieced it together, but it's like that 9 to 5 that we've been taught as like adults that we should be doing, like work, 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 hustle, hustle. And it's like been put on kids.
Yeah. And they're getting trained for the corporate world. That's what school is.
Yeah.
I'm sure that is going to piss off 1 or 2 people, but that's okay.
That's okay. I think most of our audience is very open-minded and accepting of other people's beliefs and opinions, which I love. And I love that you brought up just the uniqueness of all children, and it's the same with adults. So it's just, like not mirroring this programming that we've picked up onto our kids in that generation. And that's like a beautiful insight to take with us, even as things do start to kind of go back to normal.
Yeah. And it's funny, like even my kids' school, they were saying they go to a hybrid. So they're homeschooled 3 days, they go 2 days. And that's what it was even before COVID happened. But they were even saying that they're going to keep it at the smaller hours because they get the same amount of work done. So it's pointless to keep them longer, which I think is beautiful because I mean, kids are meant to be like running and moving and playing. And like, that's so, so important that we enable them to be able to have that play and be a kid and not be pushed to be doing school 9 hours a day and then come home and do homework for 2 hours and then bath time, bedtime, go to sleep. Like that's, as adults, like, I don't want to live like that. I don't, why would we encourage our kids to live like that?
Yeah. And hopefully showing them that will help them to turn into better adults and more like empowered and accepting of like their differences and what they want to bring into the world.
Yeah. So I think it's really powerful that they can start to find their purpose sooner as well, because like you're as from young kids, your parents put beliefs on you or religious ideas or whatever it is that they teach you. And then you grow up thinking like, oh, this is the only way. I have to go work at Bank of America from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And that's the idea of success. And that's what this is. And so anything else is bad. And it takes a lot of work on programming that. So as parents, especially in this generation, I feel it's our job to really kind of start shifting mindsets from such a young age to something different and something better.
Yeah, I love that. And that all to me is like very sacral chakra. And I kind of wanted to talk to you about Reiki because we talked about it on yours. And I don't know if it's putting you on the spot, but I thought it would be cool to have you guide everyone through the Reiki practice on here. So maybe first, we can just talk about, because I just said it, like the sacral chakra is our center of creativity and pleasure and joy and abundance. And when we can use Reiki for trying to tap into those things or any other of the chakras, it can be such a beautiful process. So I've talked about Reiki on the show before, but it's been a while. So do you want to you're a Reiki master. So do you want to tell us how you said you got into Reiki after you went to therapy and did all of that stuff. So for me, I never felt called to actually go all the way and become a Reiki master. So what called to you to just continue it at that level?
So when I started, I was very much so like just really deep into my spiritual journey. And, we all get on that pink cloud and we're like, woo, so I was definitely on my pink cloud. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I want more, like, I want to know more. And then after I had started doing Reiki on my oldest, the one I was talking about, he was like, Mom, I feel tingly all over and I feel so good and I feel better. And he has major behavior problems, and his behavior problems started to shift like completely. And I was like,
Wow.
oh my gosh, this is real. Like, energy is real. And once that clicked for me, and once I was like, okay. And then after my attunement and stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go all the way. And so, yeah, I was just very, very passionate. And the school that I went to actually was simultaneously teaching energy healing. So I learned like Qigong and all the different types of religions and energies and what everyone believes. And it was just so fascinating to me to be able to connect to all the cultures, and really what it all comes down to the same thing, but in different, language and verbiage. And but it was really inspiring to me, and so I just kept going. Like, it was just very I just started incorporating bits and pieces into my own practice to make it my own. And one of my finals was that we had to make our own healing modality, of kind of what our treatment would look like for patients and things like that. And so I really wanted to be able to incorporate not only Reiki, but incorporate some of the energy healing techniques as well into that. And so, yeah, so that's what I did, and created
So
my kind
cool.
of custom healing modality. And it's really amazing. And it's like, when you see people like have, you enter in on a certain chakra and they start bursting into tears, like, it's powerful. Like, it's amazing to see things like visually be released from their body and that they've been just carrying with them.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So what does your healing modality incorporate a little bit more of? Can you explain
Yes.
that, or is it like not
Yeah.
something you can explain?
Oh no, I'll walk you through it. So yeah, so when I have patients, I have them walking and I sage them in the room. And before they come in, I have already done the Reiki symbols all over the room to make sure that they're feeling good as soon as they enter. So after they enter, we do a quick aura sweep with sage. I have them lay on the table. I usually have them lay back up first. And so they're facing me, and I'll have them close their eyes, and I do a few aura sweeps just to make sure that everything's nice and cleansed before we get started. And so then I start at their head, and we go through each chakra. So we start at the head, we go to the throat, we do the back of the throat, we turn the head each way, we go to, we go to the third eye, and then we go to the heart, your sacral, your solar plexus, and then your root chakra. And then I have them turn over. I just did that totally out of order. And then we have them turn over.
I
And
did
then
that
I'm
on
like
yours too.
pointing
I
to
was
my
like,
sacral. Yeah. Okay. And then we have them turn over. And then I do the same thing on their back, except there's some different hand things that I do. And I actually do touch therapy to begin. So I actually do touch the body. And then when I do it the second time, I actually do Reiki. So my hands are a few inches above them, and it's all energy healing going down, moving through their body. And then I ask them if they have pain or anything anywhere, or there's any specific area that they want me to work on. So if something happened, or if they're having a hard time speaking up at work, or, whatever it is, we'll
mhm.
kind of talk about it and see. And then I'll really hyper focus in on actually healing now that we have everything balanced and ready to work. And so then I go and I hyper focus in on, like, my husband has knee pain. So I'll do like his knee pain a lot. And so, yeah, we work on that and we adjust everything. And then I do touch and energy there. And then I incorporate in Qigong. So I do a lot of like moving energy around the area, especially with energies, because what that does is it pulls like pain out and pushes good energy in. And so, yeah, we do a lot of that. And then I
Wow.
incorporate in crystal healing. So I love, 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 love to incorporate in different crystals according to, everyone's different. So it really is custom tailored to whatever the patient needs and wants. And so, yeah, we incorporate that in. And then we end with 2 more aura sweeps. And then I let them lay there for a minute and kind of just get back into their body and adjust. And then I'll do signs. I'll do the choku-rei and everything of where they need it. And and then as they lift up, we kind of talk about how they're feeling. A lot of times it's very emotional afterwards for a lot of people. So a lot of people are like in hysterics and embarrassed. And so I talk them down off the ledge, and we just kind of go step by step through everything. And then I always have them drink water right after, because like a massage or like anything that you go through, your body gets very like, depleted after something like that. So it's really important to make sure that you're hydrated and taking care of it. And then, we end the session and make kind of a plan for their next session. And I do a little chart of kind of where I'm feeling that like they're super blocked and need a little bit more work, or where we made a lot of progress.
So
It's just
cool.
amazing.
Yeah, I love that. And I love hearing like how people use these the same modality, but similarly, but differently,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really powerful and so cool that you're able to make it your own. And that's cool that they had you do that
Yeah.
at your school. So, would you want to guide everyone through like a short little practice? Like
Yeah.
however you want to do it?
Yeah, we can do
Or you
a
think it
sitting
would
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me move my camera.
Okay.
I was on the spot.
Yeah.
Let's see
Putting you on the
here.
spot.
Yeah. Okay. On my bed. All right. So we are going to start out and put our hands on our head and just close our eyes and breathe in and out through your mouth. And one more time. And then you're going to imagine a golden white light coming through your hands and just sourcing through your body, streaming through. And then we're going to move our thumbs to the center of our forehead. And this is our third eye chakra. And I like to imagine just a ring of light. So if you want to go like this, you can. If you want to go like this, you can. It doesn't matter. So you imagine kind of just a golden white circle of light coming in through this third eye area. And a deep breath in. A deep breath out. And then we're going to move to our throat. So obviously you don't want to like choke yourself out. So very, very gentle. I just place my hands where my wrists are kind of meeting over my throat. And same thing, you can imagine a golden white light. You can imagine a blue glow if you want to. And then deep breath in. And then before I get to my heart, I always rub my hands just to get some extra friction going and everything moving. And then I love to do chi balls. So you kind of just start by moving your hands together like this after you make friction. And then start to separate it and imagine like a golden white ball you're creating. And you'll start to really feel kind of some heat now. And then we're going to place our hands on our heart. And a deep breath in. And then we're going to move to our sacral and stack our hands right above. So your sacral is like 2 inches above your belly button for those that don't know. And a deep breath in. And then we're going to move to our, I said sacral, that's solar plexus. We're going to move to our sacral, which is 2 inches below our belly button. And then golden light again coming in. And a deep breath in. And then I like to take my hands and put them right on my tailbone. And this is your root chakra. And just breathe in. And I like to imagine a golden, brownish, reddish cord attaching me to Mother Earth and just flowing down. And then a golden white light coming from our crown. And so the golden white light is feeding into our tailbone, into Mother Earth, and Mother Earth is receiving her love back up to Source. So we are basically just a conduit right now. So we'll take a few deep breaths in here. Okay, and then now that we're warmed up, we're going to rub our hands again, create some friction until you feel the energy between your hands. They should be kind of hot, maybe tingly. And then when you get to that level that you feel the energy, you feel the tingles, now we're going to come like an inch above our head. And same thing, a couple deep breaths in. And then we're going to come to our third eye. And again, about 2 inches away from your body. And come this way. And then we're going to come to our throat. And again, I'm floating my wrist above. And then we're going to move to our heart. And again, you're going to float your hands. Then we're going to move to our solar plexus. And then our sacral. And then we'll make a V kind of on top of our hips to frame our tailbone, but we're going to float our hands. And slowly open your eyes. And I always like to kind of get off all the stale energy, so I'll wipe it. And then you can also always imagine the color of each chakra too. So you can do, you can do the golden white on your head or a deep, deep violet. And then you can move through, you can Google whatever you want to do. But we have, so our heart's green, our throat's blue. We have our third eye. So we have the indigo, and then we have violet at the top of our head. And then we have our solar plexus, which is yellow, our sacral, which is orange, and our root, which is red. So you can also imagine that color light of whatever chakra you're on if you're super hyper focused on just working on one area.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
That was so amazing. I feel very relaxed, and I know it's just the best. Thank you for sharing that. And it was so beautiful. I love your voice too when you talk. It's just very calming and soothing.
Thank you.
So I always kind of last question I like to ask everybody before we wrap it up is if you have any like books or resources that you want to recommend to people, because I always love to like learn what other people are learning from and share that with the audience.
Yeah, I'm actually reading a really great book right now. It's Deepak Chopra's 7 Spiritual Laws, and it is amazing. And then The Tethered Soul is also one of my all-time favorites.
Oh, me too.
Love that
I
book.
haven't read the Deepak Chopra one though, but you're the third person to tell me about it recently. So
Really?
I think that's a sign.
Yes. So I always listen to Audible while I'm getting ready. It's like my reading time. So, which I love to read books, but like, let's be real, it doesn't happen very often. So
Yeah.
Audible's my jam. And yeah, it kept popping up for me. And I was like, I think I'm supposed to read this. So I started reading it. And it was like so many of those yes moments that you're like, I needed this so much right now.
Oh, amazing. I have a
Yeah.
credit on my Audible. I'll go buy it
Get
today.
it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Courtney, for coming on and for sharing all of this with us. I think it's just going to be so inspiring for everyone to listen to. Will you tell us where everyone can find you, how they can work with you, all of that good
Yes. So my main hub spot is my website, which is thesweetestlittlelife.com. And then I am always on the gram. You can find me at The Sweetest Little Life. And then all my stuff is there to connect with me. So super easy breezy.
Perfect. That is easy breezy. And I'll link it
Yeah.
all for everyone just in case in the show notes. But
Beautiful.
yes, thank you again for joining us. This was such a powerful conversation.
Thank you so much.